Why was it so hard for Keyshia Cole to escape Mary J. Blige's shadow? So let me say it again, we're Team Mary J. Blige in our household. Let's get that out of the way. With that said, Mary J. Blige's artistry deeply represented and resonated with my era, Generation X. So much so that by early 2006, shortly after the release of her 7th album, Breakthrough, one writer, Russell Myrie, quite appropriately referred to Mary as the 21st century Aretha Franklin. Many female R&B artists have been compared to Mary J. Blige, jockeying for position spearheaded by the record labels to take Mary's place at the throne of hip-hop soul. Mary certainly noticed this predictable pattern. Here's what she said in the article written by Myrie. These days, she enjoys her position as the premier soul singer of our times a lot more. It feels really good because I think if all this was given to me, I would not have known how to have the humility to receive it. There's been so much, and there's so many people that are doing me and been doing me from the time I put out the My Life album. You know, Puff was trying to put out a whole nother version of me, which was Faith Evans. I've been going through this for years, and I look at it and I'm like, if there wasn't a chick every year out trying to be me, they probably would have forgotten about me by now. So I have to appreciate that. At one time I was like, what the F? But I would never say anything about it. The Faith Evans comment is interesting. The topic might make a compelling Soulful Charts video in the future. I can certainly understand the comparison, especially with Diddy having worked with Myrie first and then Faith. But anyway, the female R&B vocalist most compared to Mary J. Blige is arguably Keyshia Cole. When Keyshia Cole officially launched her solo career in 2004, her music displayed the kind of style and swagger, the kind of pain and passion reminiscent of Mary J. Blige's musical palette. Therefore, the comparisons started immediately. So let me set the stage. It's the summer of 2005, and Keyshia's debut album, The Way It Is about to drop. Keyshia is performing at high-profile events such as music festivals and talking openly and honestly about her heart-aching yet inspiring life story of perseverance. But while Keyshia clearly has her own story to tell, just about every write-up on her mentions Mary J. Blige. Even a remake featured on Cole's debut album is compared to the iconic performance done by Myrie of the same classic ballad from her debut album. Here's what Sonia Myrie of the Atlanta Constitution wrote about Keyshia Cole in a preview of the Vibe MusicFest where Keyshia was slated to perform. See her if you like, Mary J. Blige in her love-weary My Life era. Like Blige, she does a riveting cover of the Rolls-Royce ballad, I'm Going Down. Writer Miss Myrie continues, California native who grew up in foster care. I went through a lot as a young girl. That's why I'm so serious and determined to make it in this business. So I can help young ladies in general, but especially those in foster care who are no need help finding jobs and just getting their goals in line. I guess that's what people hear in my voice, adds Cole, who actually sounds sweet and unopposing on this recent afternoon. That determination, that rawness, that man, I don't know. Here's another preview of Keyshia's appearance in the Vibe MusicFest. Keyshia Cole, while Mary J. Blige revels in marital bliss, those who yearn for the more snarly Myrie may find it in this newcomer. Kanye West produced her first single, I Changed My Mind, followed by the more recent backhand to the face, I Just Want It to Be Over. And if her too brief appearance at the Nelly T.I. show is any indication, even her a cappella could sing. So, there's a narrative being written at the time that in hindsight was premature and unfair to both Keyshia and Myrie. And that narrative was, Keyshia Cole is what Mary J. Blige used to be. Okay, so then Keyshia's debut album is released. It's well received. Here's a review by Jenee Osterheldt of the Kansas City Star. Listening to Keyshia Cole's debut album, The Way It Is, easily reminds one of a new school version of the gritty 1992 introduction to Mary J. Blige's What's the 411. Drum-driven production by Crucial Keys on I Just Want It to Be Over, coupled with Kanye West's genius sampling of UMC's Blue Cheese on I Changed My Mind, are putting Cole on track to blaze the charts. But it would not have hurt if she had enlisted West and Keys to produce a few more songs, and it would be nice to see what she could do with the likes of Rich Harrison or Cool and Dre. Although some parts of the album seem to be underproduced and recycled, Cole still pulls it off with ballads like Love, We Could Be, and Situations. Her voice, sweet, gritty, and spine-tingling, soars naturally over any beat and is a little irresistible. If Cole, 21, plays her cards right, she could be the next hip-hop diva. The album sells well through the summer, and Keyshia Cole is seen as a hot up-and-coming female artist. Kanye West took her out on his Touch the Sky tour. Here's what was written about Keyshia in the Charlotte Observer when the tour was coming to that major southern city. Background: you can't have a well-rounded tour without an up-and-comer, so this tour has Cole. The 22-year-old survived a tumultuous childhood in Oakland, California, and came out on the other side with her debut album, The Way It Is. Known for her voice and lyrics, the raw emotion and gritty realism she conveys have earned her comparisons to Mary J. Blige. Example, on her current single, I Should Have Cheated, she sings of being a devoted girlfriend who is constantly accused of cheating by her man, hence the saucy title. Can't miss her. Fire engine red hair weave, or is it honey blonde? Who knows what color it is this week? Fan base, people who like their R&B tinge with a little hip hop and a lot of true confessions. So, Keyshia's debut album was a tremendous success and ended up being certified platinum. With that said, could Keyshia avoid the dreaded sophomore jinx? She sure did. In fact, Miss Cole's follow-up, Just Like You, was a huge success. Here's an excellent review written by Otis Goins in the Dayton Daily News. After listening to Keyshia Cole's sophomore effort, Just Like You, over and over again, I began shuffling back and forth between it and Mary J. Blige's The Breakthrough. I'm now of the opinion Just Like You is all about Mary J. Blige. Cole is not afraid to step up and take the mantle as the next queen of hip-hop soul. Blige is long gone on the road to healthy love. She's singing joyfully, loving joyfully, and is all but preaching the good news. Cole, on the other hand, is a ways behind Blige, but in familiar territory. Pain, pain, and more pain seems to be the constant refrain throughout Cole's history of love. The internet is abuzz about just how much her life mirrors Blige. Cole even jumped to Blige's label, Geffen Records, and her CD photo spread looks like Blige's. As flawed as she is, Cole's not afraid to love, and she's not afraid to fail. The gem of the album is the acoustic soul ballad, Heaven Sent. I dare you to not listen to it more than once. The song is a confessional about why all lovers do what they do, even to the point of giving love away. She has a slew of great producers and guests, but they never overshadow her. The most underrated are Amina, her new rap protege, Should Have Let You Go, and Anthony Hamilton on Losing You. Time has proven that we fans love our superstars flawed, just like us. As long as there's love and heartbreak, we'll be hearing a lot more from Keyshia Cole during the next decade. As far as my personal opinion, I completely agree with Goins' description of Heaven Sent. The ballad is truly a gem on the album. It's one of the best ballads of the 2000s, and it's my favorite Keyshia Cole record. Anyway, within 2 months of its release, Keyshia Cole's sophomore effort was certified platinum. Even as Keyshia worked toward establishing her own musical identity, still the Mary J. Blige comparisons continued. Here's what the organizer of the Macy's Music Festival said about Keyshia in a 2008 write-up in the Cincinnati Enquirer. What we tried to do this year is make a mix of young and old, Santangelo says. Keyshia Cole, even though she is extremely hot right now, she's liked by everybody. Most people are calling her the next Mary J. Blige. Fast forward to Keyshia's aptly titled third album, A Different Me. A solid project, another platinum record for the Oakland-born and raised vocalist, though it did receive some mixed reviews. What stayed the same are the comparisons to Mary J. Blige, even in instances when those comparisons are favorable to Keyshia. Here's a write-up by Kevin C. Johnson in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Keyshia Cole remains one to watch. Her new CD, A Different Me, is her best effort yet. She has come a long way considering that when she debuted a few years ago, she came off as a Mary J. Blige knockoff. And here's part of a New York Times review by John Caramanica, published in a Connecticut paper, The Record Journal. On her first two albums, Cole was one of the most textured singers in R&B, one of the few brave enough to use a young Mary J. Blige as a template, and at times improve on it. And then there was the BET Honors Award Show. It's January 2009. Barack Obama has made history by being the first black man elected president of the United States in the November 2008 election. Obama's historic inauguration is just days away when BET Honors takes place. Mary J. Blige is one of the honorees in celebration of her outstanding career up to that point. So, as what typically happens when honoring music's legendary stars, BET puts together a tribute performance in honor of Mary J. And this is where it gets a little messy. Here's a write-up by George Rush and Joanna Rush-Malloy about some of the behind-the-scenes friction. There was drama behind the tribute to Blige. Word is that producers had planned to have Keyshia Cole sing one of Blige's songs, but Blige's manager, husband, Kendu Isaac, would hear none of it. He thought there was already too much comparison between Keyshia and Myrie, a spy tells us. They were going back and forth on it all week. It got ugly. In the end, showrunners had Cole introduce choreographer Judith Jamison, paying homage to Blige were Anita Baker and Monica. I think Anita and Keyshia tributes in honor of Myrie made perfect sense. Myrie was inspired by Anita Baker, that's well known. And Myrie clearly inspired what was then an up-and-coming generation of younger artists like Keyshia Cole. Looking back, I don't know if Blige's camp fully appreciated how the careers of female artists like Cole were ultimate complements to Blige's influence and only strengthened the size and scope of Myrie's enduring legacy. Eventually, Myrie counseled Kendu in marriage and in business. So let's move on. 3 albums deep, Keyshia Cole continued to deal with Mary J. Blige comparisons, even though Kevin C. Johnson of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch didn't understand why. He wrote, "It's not entirely clear why she's so often viewed as the next Mary J. Blige. Cole is a talent, but doesn't have Blige's angst and passion, but she gets major points for belting out ballads like Heaven Sent and Trust, and for executing her show with precision." Here's what Brian McCullen of the Detroit Free Press wrote. Keyshia Cole, one of R&B's biggest young stars, has begun to find her own creative voice, shaking off all the Mary J. Blige comparisons and criticisms to emerge as a fully shaped artist in her own right. Cole brings material from an aptly titled latest album, A Different Me, which takes the 27-year-old vocalist down a bright new path. Well said. The truth is, though, Keyshia had already begun to shake off those Mary J. comparisons with the release of her previous album, Just Like You. Consider this. That album earned what are still the 2 biggest hits of her career, I Remember, and Heaven Sent. Both beautiful ballads reached number 1 on the R&B charts in the same year, 2008, and each song spent quite a bit of time at the top spot, respectively. I Remember spent 7 weeks at number 1 in the early part of the year, and then Heaven Sent spent 9 weeks at number 1 later that year. That's a combined total of 16 weeks at number 1, which means that Keyshia had a number 1 R&B record for almost a third of 2008. Keyshia was no longer the next or new Mary J. Blige. She was simply Keyshia Cole, her own voice leading her own movement. Regardless of the tireless comparisons between her and Myrie, it was clear that by the time Keyshia released her third offering, she had found her own unique voice and was standing out confidently in a crowded field of R&B female vocalists, some of which were trying to be the next Keyshia Cole at that point. Here's my take. There's a gift and curse dynamic when it comes to musical artist comparisons. The next thing or new thing or young this one or young that one is an easy to fall into trap for any up and coming artist. The Myrie versus Keyshia thing wasn't even a thing because Myrie was already years ahead of Keyshia in terms of life experience and musical catalog as far as show business when Miss Cole hit the scene. Keyshia Cole's music connected with her fans, the same way Myrie's connected with hers. The conflict came due to a generation gap as well as a slight overlap of their audiences. In other words, Myrie and Keyshia shared some of the same fans. But, of course, record label promotional tactics, media hype, trolling by fans or even by the artists themselves, or simply on the record and off the record misconstrued statements by various players involved can cause unnecessary tension in the highly competitive music game. Anyway, yes, there are definitely levels to this, no doubt about that. But I do feel that Mary J. Blige and Keyshia Cole are both certified greats respectively. What do you think? Soulful Charts, we got the receipts. Thanks for joining me. Peace.